Gosh, having a database full of duplicate candidates just absolutely grinds my gears. I'm going to show you how Salesforce can help you solve that. Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Salesforce for Recruiters. I'm your host, Brad Owens, and I was just like you. I was a recruiter for well over a decade using various pieces of technology that never really fit what I wish they could do for my recruiting firm. And then I saw Salesforce, and I went, where has this been all my life? And since then, I've been dedicating my career to helping both Salesforce and recruiters understand what this platform can truly do for them and their business to help them revolutionize recruiting using Salesforce. For today's episode, I wanted to talk about my pet peeve, and that is duplicate management. I used to hate having contacts that I would go deep down the path with for like a year or two, and then 6 months later, I'd have them apply to a job and treat them as if they were a brand new candidate, or I'd have one of my recruiters just start interacting with them as if they were brand new to our recruiting firm, and that was absolutely false. I used to hate that. It's bad for not only how we operate, but it also leaves a bad taste in the candidate's mouth, making them think that, hey, maybe they don't really value the relationship. So I want to tell you how Salesforce can solve that. And there's going to be a few different things that we dig into today to show you the types of duplicate management that Salesforce really has. So there's going to be 3 different scenarios we're going to dig into. First, I want to talk about just contact duplicates, where you've got the same person potentially multiple times in your database. Bad. We're going to show you how to solve that. Second, we're going to show you how to solve someone who's applied for a job, but may actually already exist in your system and you might have just missed them. And then third, we're going to dig into one of the pet peeves that all of us as recruiters have, is when one person applies to maybe hundreds of different jobs in our system all at the same time. And we've got to try and figure out what they might be a fit for, what they might not. So I'm going to show you how we solve all these different things using Salesforce tools. And let's dig into the first one now. Let's start off with an understanding of what duplicate detection inside Salesforce is. In Salesforce, you have the ability to define what duplicate criteria means to you. So at its basic form, we can talk about that as contact duplication. So for today, I'm going to be in my environment inside Salesforce and try and create a new contact. Let's just say for today's purposes, it's me. I'm creating my own contact inside Salesforce. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in my LinkedIn URL. And what you're going to notice is when the system recognizes that I've input a LinkedIn URL of another candidate that we already have in the system, it's going to pop up and say, hey, some similar records exist. Before you create this one, you may want to see if there's a duplicate in your system. And then by clicking View Duplicates, I'm taken to a screen that shows me the contact that would be a duplicate. And I can then at that point just go ahead and say, no, you're wrong. I'm going to go ahead and create a new candidate, or I can click right here, open this contact and start editing from a candidate I already have in my system. So that's what duplicate management inside of Salesforce allows you to do. And you can use that across different objects. So if you want to look up, hey, maybe we have a different account that you've already created that you've got a ton of history with, don't create a new account. You can have it pop up for accounts or contacts or any other types of objects inside of Salesforce. It just helps you so that you don't go too deep down the path of creating some sort of duplicate. Now that we have a solid understanding of what duplicate management inside of Salesforce is, how do you set it up? Well, we can go way into depth on its own episode for this, but I'm going to give you the highlights today. To start managing your duplicate setup, you need to go to the Setup menu. And I access that by clicking up here, and in the quick find box, I can type duplicate. And what you'll notice is you've got a few different things for duplicate management. You've got duplicate rules, and then you've got matching rules. Now, these are 2 different things that work together to help you with the duplicate management. Now, a matching rule says the criteria that's going to create a match in your system. What are you going to look at to see that these things actually match together? So for today, our matching rule is going to be a LinkedIn matching rule. So what I have set up is that on this LinkedIn rule here, anytime someone gets entered into our system with the same LinkedIn URL, that should tell us, hey, there's something going on here. So now we need to define what do you do with that once you find a match. And that's where duplicate rules come in handy. So you can see here, I have a duplicate rule for a contact. And what I've created in here is I've told this rule that anytime the matching rule of LinkedIn gets populated, here's what you need to do with it. You need to alert the person and report it as well inside the system to show that, hey, there are some duplicates getting created. So now I give it an alert text. I tell it when to actually start this rule, when to fire the rule, and what to tell the person about that. So all of these things are defined in the setup screen, but you can imagine how in-depth you can get here between matching rules and duplicate rules. Hopefully that's helpful. There are also times as recruiters where we're faced with a situation where we may duplicate a record because they've applied to a job, even though they're already actually in our system. So how do we avoid that in Salesforce? Well, I'm going to talk to you about job board applicants that exist in the Assemble applicant tracking system. If you want to follow along, you can get the Assemble applicant tracking system for free at assemble.com. And you can try it out for 30 days and see what you think. So inside the Assemble applicant tracking system, we have the idea of managing applicants. So I'm here on a project manager job that I'm working, and I have a manage an applicant screen. And you can see here that there are a few different tags on the applicants that have actually applied. This person here is listed as new because they're new to our system. If I went to an identified contact to see if this person's already in our system, there's nothing there. So you can see that I've got a brand new resume from Mylan here, and I'm able to go through and assess if they're a good candidate for this job or not. Now I've also got Dom here. Now Dom has popped up as contact identified. So as well as Malin, you can also see that we've got his resume here. But if I click on identified contacts, you can see that Dom's already actually in our system. We've got some history on him as well. And if I wanted to dig into his contact, I can dig in immediately and start making some edits there and just kind of treat it as if I've already got a relationship with Dom. But this is the system of the Assemble applicant tracking system, helping us identify if we've got a brand new applicant that we've never seen before, or someone that's applied to a job that's already in our system and we may have some history with. There may also be the use case where you have someone who's applied for one of your jobs, but they've also applied to dozens of other jobs in your system. And you have to really quickly make sure that you're not wasting your recruiter's time by reviewing all of those applications, maybe dozens of times, when you could do that in just one review. So how would the Assemble applicant tracking system actually help with that? Well, for that, we actually have the ability to view other applied jobs. So I'm going to dig into this DevOps engineer that I'm working right here, and I'm going to see the job board applicants that have applied for this job. We've got our buddy Dom here again. Now, if I click on Dom, you can see that we've got his resume, we've got the details that he's applied with, and we've also got this tab here called Applied Jobs. Now, if I click on this, you'll be able to see the other jobs that this person's applied to. You can see here that this person has applied to the data engineer position. They also have not been moved through that job because they still have a status of new. But if they're deeper into that application process or deeper into that interview process, that status would show here. And now we have the ability to take action. Do we want to consider Dom here for this data engineer position, or do we want to consider them for this DevOps engineer position? And that just gives you some ability to understand how many different positions this person may have applied to inside your applicant tracking system, as long as you're using the Assemble ATS inside Salesforce. I've also seen recruiting firms that are using Salesforce kind of create their own duplicate problem that really has no solution unless you change the underlying data structure. So I'm going to help you avoid that by starting the right way. And that comes down to how you structure your contacts. Now, us as recruiters, we interact with our contacts at different times. Sometimes they're candidates, sometimes they're clients, sometimes they're both. And there are systems out there that have you create a new client every time you want to interact with the person as a client, or a new candidate every time you want to interact with that person as a candidate. But you can see now I might have this candidate here and this client here. They're the same person, but my interactions will be kept completely separate. So if I want to know everything I'm doing with this person, I won't be able to see them unless I go to both of those records at the same time, thereby inducing the duplicate in our system. So now we have both of these people that exist in Salesforce land as complete separate things. We want them to be together. This comes down to your data structure. I would always suggest that inside Salesforce, you treat a contact as a contact. Their relationship to whether it's connected to a job or connected to an account where they're a hiring manager, their relationship should be related to that contact. The contact should not be something completely different based on some point in time. A person is always a person. So create that as a contact and allow their relationships to other objects to define whether or not they're a candidate or a client at that time. That'll help you reduce the number of duplicates that exist inside your system. My goal for this episode is to help you avoid all of the duplicates that can get created inside your applicant tracking system. If you're using Salesforce as your applicant tracking system, you have a number of different tools at your disposal. You have matching and duplicate rules. You have the ability to take advantage of the Assemble applicant tracking system. Again, it's at asymbl.com if you want to try that out. You have the ability to, inside Assemble, see other jobs that this person's applied to. You've got the ability to see if they're already a contact inside your system, although they've applied to a new job. And you have the ability to have the correct data structure underneath that. The Assemble applicant tracking system uses the contact object instead of creating all these extraneous objects. It allows you to take advantage of the native Salesforce features because of that. I hope this was helpful in getting you just a little bit more clarity around how Salesforce handles duplicates inside your system. If you like this kind of content and want more, you can find it at salesforceforrecruiters.com. We put out weekly episodes and also a bunch of clips out on LinkedIn if you want to follow us there. Until next time, I'm Brad Owens. If you have any questions that you'd like me to answer on this show, feel free to send them in. Best email is hello@bradowens.com. Again, it's hello@bradowens.com. And if you want more episodes, it's at salesforceforrecruiters.com. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.